Okay, so we are going to prep our machines for the Whatnot quilted basket. So this is going to be working on a Brother Stellaire XE1, XJ1, a Baby Lock Meridian, a Baby Lock Altair, a Brother Dream Machine 2, or a Destiny 2. The only thing that should be different on your screen here, if you do not have a Brother, you will not have the Disney screen, and your My Design Center will have IQ Designer. If you do not have a sewing machine, if it is an embroidery only machine, then you might just have the embroidery option up here. But either way, what you are going to do is you're going to select the embroidery option on your screen if you haven't already done so. And we are going to pull up the design. So we are going to select the USB icon in the bottom, and I'm going to navigate to my design. I have it in the PES file here, and I'm looking for the Whatnot quilted basket. And from here, I do need to set this to my screen, so I'm going to hit the set button. From this menu, I'm going to go to the edit screen, and I need to use the stamp option on this. So it's this button down here that looks like an outline of a flower. We're going to select that icon, and we're going to get this screen up here. From this screen, we do want to adjust the distance, and we are going to go to minus 0.108. So I'm going to use the minus button, and I'm just going to hold this down until I get to the 108 option. All right, and so the picture over here says minus 0.108. And once I have that icon, I am going to select the memory icon from the bottom. All right, and it's going to bring up this picture. What it's doing is it's telling me where it's going to store this image for us. So it is storing it in My Design Center or IQ Designer if you have a Baby Lock, and it's going to be in our shapes option. So we're going to select OK at the bottom. Now from this menu, I want to hit the add button, and then I want to go to the My Design Center or the IQ Designer. And from this menu here, I need to locate the shapes tool. So that tool is located right over here. You can see that circle and that square. So I'm going to select that icon. And then you should also see another familiar icon, which happens to be that outline of that flower. So when I select that, you're going to see the choices of the things. These are some of the other things that we have saved in the computer here. So I'm going to select that option, and then I'm going to select OK. So now that red box on the outside, that is the box that we created using the stamp tool in the embroidery side. So now we need to fill it. So we're going to go to our region fill properties, which is going to be down here. So this option is going to be the second set of basically a piece of paper. We're going to select this, and in this menu is where we're going to find the decorative fill that we're going to be using. So we're going to select the little circles. That's going to bring up a sub menu to the right, and then we're going to hit the select button again. And from here, we're going to select number 7. So this is the basket weave. Once I have selected the basket weave, I'm going to select OK. From this screen, if I wanted to change the color of the design, I could go ahead and do that. The default color is red, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave that red. And I'm going to select OK at the bottom. Now, I need to get that fill onto my page. So how we do that is we're going to fill the space. So we're going to use this little picture here, which kind of looks like a paint can pouring color. So I'm going to select the paint can option, and then I'm going to select inside the circle, inside the square that we previously drew. And then I'm going to select the next button at the bottom. So once I have the next button selected, I am going to make a couple of changes to my design. So I want to increase the design space a little bit. So I am going to go down to the bottom here where it says 100%, and I'm going to select that icon, and I'm going to increase the size to 140%. So once I have that the way that I want it, I'm going to hit the set button, and then I'm going to need to hit the preview button in order for that to sort of populate the image here. So this is always going to ask you, my Design Center data will not be saved. Is it okay to continue? I'm going to say yes, it is. And so here's what this looks like. Now, if you needed to make more changes or you wanted to do a few more things to the screen, then you would go ahead and hit the return button so we can do that. So if this was how exactly we wanted everything, we would be perfectly fine and we would hit the set button. Before you hit the set button, we want to check one more thing. So we're going to hit the return button right back to this screen, and we want to go to this box right here. So this is an outline, and what we want to do is we want to turn the outline so that the outline key is off. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to hit the set button again, and I'm going to go ahead and preview. Again, the same message asking me if I'm sure I want to be doing this. All right, so now you can see when I look at this particular design, I do not have an outline around the outside perimeter, which is what I wanted to happen. So once I have that set, then I'm going to just basically hit the set key. So what they're telling me here is make sure you really want to make a change, because if you exit this screen, you can't go back. So yes, I want to exit this screen, and now you can see that I have my basket pieces inside of my existing design. And if we go to the embroidery section at the bottom here, now if I want to see where this is in the lineup, if I hit my plus or minus button, I will be able to scroll through the different colors. So looking at the top right here, as I move through my colors, it's going to go through the individual designs. So I'm currently on color number 2. This is color number 3. This is color number 4, number 5, number 6, and that very last one that I did is the color number 7. So we did successfully get the basket weave in there. So let's add the decorative heart to our basket. We're going to hit the return button. We're going to touch add. From here, we're going to go to the tab on the side, which is our shapes menu, number 4. From here, we're going to select number 7, which is the heart. And then we want to pick the number 5 heart. And you can see it looks really pretty on the screen here. We're going to hit the set button. And now we want to edit that heart. We want to make sure that that heart is the correct size for our basket. So we're going to hit the edit button, and then we're going to hit the size button. Now I know I'm going to be editing the heart because I can see that I have a red box and those little red dots all the way around my object. So I know that I'm on the correct object. So we are going to adjust the space sizing here. And your sizes are going to be up, and so it's the second one right here. This left measurement is the measurement of the whole design, and the smaller measurement over here is the design that we actually have the red bounding box around. So we're just going to adjust this. The recommended size is 2.26 by 266. So we're going to be making this a little bit smaller. I'm going to use the proportionate tool. And then we've got 2.26 by 2.66. So once we have that, we're going to hit the OK button, and we are going to be getting ready to embroider.
Now that we have the programming all set for the Whatnot basket, we need to start stitching. We're going to jump ahead to thread color number 2, which will be the placement stitch for placement of the foam. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, to number 2, and go ahead and stitch that out. Go ahead and cover that up with the foam and stitch again. Now, of course, we need to trim off the excess. Now that we have that all trimmed, we're going to turn the hoop to the back and tape one piece of that cute melon doodle fabric to the back, and then turn back to the front and set the second piece over the foam, and then we'll tack both pieces in place at the same time. So here's the back of my hoop. I would just like to remind you that when you're taping on the back, you want to make sure that you tape the corners down, not the north, south, east, west, just to make sure that you don't get any folding in of those corners. Once you have that squaring stitch done, we're going to go ahead and remove the hoop from the machine and then take the tape pieces off the back of the hoop once everything has been stitched in place. If you did use tape on the front, you can remove that at this time as well. As you all know me by now, I did not put tape on the front of my hoop. While we have that done, at this time, let's go ahead and look at the machine screen again. And we need to go back to stitch 0 so that we can now stitch that quilting step. So we're going to go ahead, if you don't have the needle plus minus up yet, hit needle plus minus and then tap that 0 so that we go back to the beginning of the machine, and then hit OK in the bottom right hand corner. At this time, we're going to go ahead and stitch what is color stop number 1, which is that background quilting.
Oh, that's
We now need to jump forward to step number 5. So we're going to hit that needle plus minus and arrow down to number 5. So there was 3, 4, and 5. And that's going to give us kind of like a little mini tic-tac-toe board. So once we have that, we can go ahead and stitch. So hit OK in the bottom right hand corner and go back to the machine. We are now going to stitch the eyelets for the ribbon holes. All right, now that the eyelets are all stitched, we need to remove the excess fabric from the outside of our square so that we can do that beautiful satin stitch that's going to go all the way around. So we need to remove the fabric from both the top and the bottom of the hoop. So we're going to go ahead and trim, and then we'll come back and stitch that satin stitch. So I have both behind the hoop and on top of the hoop trimmed. So we're going to go ahead and do that satin stitch. It will go all the way around the square. All right, so the outline has been stitched, and the very last thing that we're going to do is stitch that heart in the middle. We're going to change our thread color to that aqua, which is number 903. So with that stitch, that completes the project. All we need to do now is go ahead and trim around the outside to remove the most of the stabilizer that we can, and then gently put water right on the edge there to remove that little bit of stabilizer that we have there. We have got that water soluble through the entire project, so if you do dip that in water, the entire thing is going to be a little bit stiff. So you would, if you want to get all of that out, you'll need to dip the whole thing and rinse many times to get that nice soft feel. Once we have all of the stabilizer out that you wish to remove, we're going to need to go ahead and remove the fabric from inside the eyelets to go ahead and complete the basket to tie the ribbons through there. And that will complete our What Not basket.